Hi, I'm David Smith, and today I've got the privilege of showing you the latest in the Sony NEX series of cameras. This is the NEX FS700, and as you can see, it's a large camera, beautifully made in a typical Sony fashion. The camera is a big square boxy kind of arrangement. It's much less like a typical over-the-shoulder camera or a smaller camera like the Z5 or Z7, and it's specifically designed, I suspect, for studio use. It's really well set up for that purpose. Let's have a look at how it works. I'll take you on a bit of a guided tour. First of all, you put the battery in. It's a standard Sony battery that just pops in the back horizontally like that, and then the power switch is just here. Turn the power on and you're off and running. There's a big handle on the side here which is adjustable. You can adjust the angle to anything you want, and so you can get a very comfortable position for hand holding like that. You can even go higher like this, and it's actually not that heavy, so you can actually get away with using it like this as a handheld camera. But as I say, it's much happier when it's on a tripod, and preferably in the studio. If a camera could smile, I think this one would smile when it's in a studio doing a feature film. Wonderful camera. Let's have a look at how it's laid out. First of all, you've got obviously the big viewfinder extension, and that can be rotated around and tilted up and down, and it comes off very easily with these little clips at the side, like that. So you can take that right off, and it actually reveals a small LED viewfinder there, which you can see. And that's a touchscreen menu system, and that folds down flat if need be, revealing two big threaded holes here for attaching all sorts of other gear that you might want to attach, such as lights or microphones. When you open this little region up here, you're exposed to the main control panel, which has audio controls down this side, down the left, and then it's got the playback controls in the typical fashion across here. And then down here there's the cursor buttons and the execute button in the middle. You've got scan slow, data code, display and TC user bit, of course. This one here called visual index lets you switch from recording mode to playback mode, and you can see all your clips as little thumbnails in the viewfinder when you do that. If I just do that now, you can see how they appear as little thumbnails, like so. There's a menu button which takes you to the full extensive menu system, and it's a very extensive menu system. This thing has got layers and layers of options for you to work with, right down to various gamma settings, knee settings, black settings and so on. Everything you could need to set this camera up properly for serious videography. Now on the other side, around here, you've got a very useful panel of buttons here. You've got your typical gain control here. You've got white balance, menu again, and picture profiles. Up to 6 picture profiles can be stored in the camera, and they can be extensively modified to suit your needs. And they can also be shared with other users of similar cameras via the SD card. So you can actually set up a whole suite of cameras if you want to, virtually instantly, by using the stored picture profile data, which is great, a great feature. There's a status check button, which of course pops up the 6-page series of menus there, which is very helpful to get an idea of where your settings are. And then across the top here, there are 6 predefined buttons that can also be set as user-defined controls, and they're set up initially with default values, and they're labelled as peaking, histogram, face detection, zebra, marker and last scene. And you'd probably leave them pretty much as they are, because they're very handy settings that Sony have chosen. But if you need to change them, you can. Now, using the camera as a handheld camera in the manner of a Z1, for example, is not easy because the viewfinder's right back here. So if you're going to do that kind of shooting like this, which I commonly do quite a lot of, it turns out, I would arrange, using this second cold shoe here, I would actually arrange a monitor on the front and use that as my monitor. But that's an easy option. This is the 12:1, 18 to 200 millimetre zoom, powered zoom lens. So you've got high, medium and low controls here, an actual zoom lever here, and then you've got manual or servo on the side on switch down here. It's a good lens, about f3.5 maximum aperture, so it's not especially fast, but it's a good general purpose lens. ND filters going up through 3 more settings from a quarter through 1/16th to 1/64th. And then you've got the iris controls here, very much similar to other cameras in this series. And then the focus controls down here. The microphone setting on the top is released by using this little simple clamp, and you can push the microphone out to wherever you need. You can put it on the other cold shoe if you need to. All sorts of possibilities as to how you might set this thing up. What I'd like to do now is go to this beautiful little button here called the S&Q button for slow and quick. And that's where this camera really shines, because it can do effectively frame rates from 1 frame per second right through to 1,000 frames per second. And that's a pretty stunning capability in a camera at this price, which is around $10,000 for the whole unit. So when you press this S&Q button, what you see is another option to choose the frame rate in the viewfinder. You just use the cursor keys to spool up and down through the various frame rates to get the one you want. Then you press it again, and then you're ready to go. So when you see the action that you want to film, such as my kite surfing friends down at Rosebud Beach on Port Phillip Bay, you simply aim the shot, frame the shot, press record, and it goes into buffering mode, and you see a little yellow line coming across telling you how the buffering's going. And when it's filled the buffer, it'll start to record. You then have to wait while the recording happens and the buffer is transferred to your memory device. So there is a certain element of delay, if you like. You can cancel that transferring from buffer step if it's taking too long and something else really good is happening. But you have to allow for the fact that you're doing something pretty remarkable, filming at 200 frames per second or more, and you have to allow a little time to get that right. Not a great inconvenience, and actually I found it very easy to use in the field. It was easy to switch between normal high definition recording and the fancier 200 frames per second, that full HD definition, which is really pretty impressive. The only adjustment I had to make was to alter the ND because of the different aperture that the system selects when it goes into high-speed mode. But the results, as you can see, are fantastic. It's really slowed down the action, and you can see the water droplets moving slowly through the air. It's really impressive. The dog running in slow motion along the beach. The dog was actually moving very fast, but it looks gorgeous in slow motion. I've got a friend who is in a rock band called Sidonia, and they use this particular camera on their tours around Australia. I've just been using it recently, and the results are stunning. Wonderful slow motion sequences. So it's a great camera with great versatility, and I'll just go in now and show you some more of the results.
What do you want? More do you want? What more do you want? What more do you want? What more do you want?